my office is located on Broadway in New York City, and there are often demonstrations. So when I first heard the chanting, I didn't think much of it. But when I got outside, I quickly realized a couple of things. First, there was zero police presence. This is what it normally looks like when there's a protest. This was a small healthcare demonstration earlier today. NYPD there in force. Also strange was that the march was in the street, not on the sidewalk. And it was in the street with traffic. Okay, so here's New York City, and here's Zuccotti Park where the march started, and my office is here. The mob was headed north on Broadway towards Canal Street. Now, Broadway and Canal is a major intersection, but again, no sign of the police at all. This guy here is Marine Sergeant Shamar Thomas, whose altercation with the cops in Times Square a few weeks ago landed him on MSNBC and Countdown with Keith Olbermann. How did this come together, do you know?
I have no clue how it came together, but we're marching in solidarity with our brothers from Oakland. Hey! Yo! Stop, man! Stop! Chill out!
At this point, we're in Soho when we see the first police van.
All right, here are the cops. The police are right here.
Yeah. The sirens were off and the windows rolled up. No interaction at all with the crowd. There were a lot of police positioned on Houston Street to intercept the protesters. Not nearly enough to be effective. There was one small altercation, but nothing came of it.
Okay, the cops set up like a dragnet there, and everybody just turned and went this way.
This is where the cat and mouse game between the protesters and the NYPD began. The police had a large force ready just north of Bleecker Street on Broadway, and the mob quickly changed direction to avoid them. This happened several times in the West Village.
It's Oakland! Oakland is New York! New York! New York! It's Oakland!
And at times the protesters were even sprinting to avoid the police.
Slow it up, this way! Slow it up! Slow it down!
Eventually, a sizable force did get ahead of the crowd, but there was no attempt made to stop anyone. It did seem like the police were starting to organize, and on 6th Avenue and Franklin Street, the police attempted to stop the mob using their scooters and nets. This was when tensions peaked. The mob narrowly avoided the police, turning down Franklin Street, and proceeded to barricade the street using trash bags and whatever other obstacles they could find. I apologize for my shaky camera here, but I was being chased by a cop with a baton. The crowd was back on Broadway about 6 blocks from Zuccotti Park when police scooters tried to block them. Okay, let's watch that again. So this guy's on the ground, and these other protesters are trying to pull him away. Watch this protester here. He is shoved by this police officer, and now this police officer, this officer, and this officer all have their batons out and are confronting these protesters here. And watch this part. This is the key scene here. This officer here, this cop on the left, comes in and ends this very hot scene by grabbing the cops, pulling them away, and letting the protesters go on their way. Ultimately, the crowd made it back to Zuccotti Park, where it all began, and for the most part without incident. Reporting entirely unofficially from downtown New York City, this is Casey Neistat.